Welcome back to Mine is the Fury, the final Mine is the Fury of the season. I am, of course, Eric. I'm going to be reviewing Game of Thrones, the season 7 finale, The Wolf and the Lion. Huge episode, longest episode they have ever done. Full spoilers, of course. Always remember to follow Honest Jack, DTV, and everything at Odd Shape Channel. So much great stuff. So I want to get right into the episode. So we know this big parlay is about to happen in King's Landing, but before that, so many wonderful reunions go on. We see Tyrion and Theon and Jon arriving at King's Landing. Tyrion and Podrick, who haven't seen each other in a long time, have a great reunion. Tyrion and Bronn have a great reunion, where Tyrion reminds him, remember, whatever offer somebody makes you, I will double it. But the most interesting reunion for me was definitely the Hound and Brienne. She's shocked to see the Hound is even alive. She says to the Hound, look, I was just trying to protect Arya. He says, I was just doing the same. She informs the Hound that Arya is actually alive, and he seems happy to hear that. And he's like, but if you're here, who's protecting her? She's like, the only person need protecting is anyone that tries to mess with her. And the Hound goes, it won't be me. So they arrive at the Dragon's Pit, a place we've never seen yet on the show. And in comes Cersei Lannister, Euron Greyjoy, Jaime Lannister, the Mountain, and the Hound spots the Mountain. Another reunion. He goes up to the Mountain, I should say. Says, what did they do to you? You're uglier than I am now. And they don't fight, but they do have a good setup for a fight, which I think will end up happening next season. So everyone's sitting down, and Cersei's like, where's Daenerys? And no one knows yet. But then she comes in on Drogon, and of course, the spectacle, everyone's in awe, especially those who have never seen a dragon like Cersei Lannister. Dany comes in on Drogon. She arrives at the Dragon's Pit, sits down, and Cersei's like, we've been waiting a long time here. And she's like, I'm sorry, my apologies. But anyway, the parlay starts, and Euron immediately starts to mock Theon, but Cersei says, just sit down. So Jon lays out his case why they need to join the North and fight the undead. Cersei's at first like, I don't, really care about any of this, I don't believe any of this, but then the Hound brings in the undead that they caught, and it's chained up, but it comes running right at Cersei, and it shakes her up. You can see she is shaken. But Euron Greyjoy's like, I've never seen anything like this. I've been all over the world. And he's like, can they swim? Jon explains, no, the undead cannot swim. So Euron says, I'm out of here. I'm going back to Pike. He says to Dany, you should leave too. Go back to your island. When this is all done, we'll be the only ones left alive. So he leaves, and everyone thinks he's leaving like a coward. But we'll get to that later. But Cersei does agree at first. She says, look, I will help you fight the undead, but she wants Jon to agree. You will stay in the North when it's done, and you will never take up arms against me. But Jon says, I've already sworn fealty to one queen, and that's Daenerys Targaryen. I can't swear to two queens. So Cersei gets pissed and leaves. Dany's like, I'm grateful for your support, but was that wise to do that? And Tyrion's like, you might want to learn to lie once in a while here. But Jon's like, look, you say everyone about my father, honor that I'm got him killed, but this is who I am, and if you tell too many lies, people won't believe the truth. So they think it's over, they're done. But Tyrion says, no, let me go and talk with my sister. They're worried that she might kill Tyrion because, of course, she's so pissed at him for killing Tywin, her father. But he says, I have to do this. So he gets taken in the back by the Mountain, has a scene with Jaime. Jaime's not sure if he's ever going to see him again. And Jaime, also in the Dragon's Pit, was told by Brienne, they had a reunion, talk to the Queen. So keep that in mind. So basically, Tyrion and Cersei have this wonderful scene. The acting was phenomenal, and Cersei still blames him, for the death of her children. Tommen and Myrcella says, if you never killed Tywin, they would still be alive. And Tyrion says, if you know anything about me, you know I love them. And she's like, it doesn't matter, they're still dead. And you can see he's like, the thing I am most regretful for about all this is that they died. He's like, look, if you want to have me killed, then just have me killed. She doesn't have the Mountain kill him. He pours her some wine, she doesn't take it, and he realizes she's pregnant. Then the scene ends, and we don't see the rest of the conversation. So next we see Dany and Jon in the Dragon's Pit. They're talking about the historical significance of where they are and stuff, and some flirting, in my opinion, going on as well. But then in comes Cersei with Tyrion, and she agrees to help the North fight the undead. So Jon looks at this whole thing that it was a big success. So later in the episode, we know back at Dragonstone, we see Dany, Jon, Jorah, everyone, Varys, Davos, planning on what to do next. Jon says, look, we should ride to Winterfell together. on a boat, so people should see that we are together. That's the best course of action. And as Jon's going to leave Dragonstone, Theon stops and, he wants to get Yara. He still feels bad and about everything he's done. And, Jon's like, it's not my place to forgive you, but you never had to choose. My father raised you. He's a part of you. You've always been part Stark and part Greyjoy, which is kind of a foreshadow to Jon's lineage, which I'll get to in a little bit. But so Jon has the courage to get Yara back. So he spots the Greyjoys that are there and says, I want to go get her. But the head Greyjoy that's there says, no, we're not listening to you. Him and Theon fight. Theon starts to get his butt kicked, but then the guy kicks Theon in the balls, and Theon, of course, doesn't have any balls or a penis anymore, so it doesn't do anything. And then Theon fights back, beats him up, and then gives his rally cry, we're going to get my sister back for Yara. The rest of the Greyjoys agree. So it looks like that's where his story is going to be next season, trying to rescue, I should say, his sister from Euron Greyjoy. So later in the episode, we see a scene with Cersei and Jaime. Jaime's trying to make preparations for them to join the fight, but Cersei's like, look, that was all a lie. So what if the undead comes? They'll take out most of our enemies. Jaime's horrified by this. He's not happy to hear all this. And she explains to Jaime, Euron didn't leave as a coward. It was all a plan. He's going to get the Golden Company sellswords to come and fight for us and protect us. But Jaime's still horrified, and he's like, I'm out of here. He's like, you want to have the Mountain kill me? Have him kill me. I don't believe you. She doesn't have the Mountain kill him. Jaime leaves King's Landing. He finally breaks from her. It was a very big scene. And as he's leaving, he sees the snowfall. Finally falls, and this beautiful musical score plays as we see snow falling all over King's Landing. It was absolutely gorgeous. Great scene. Just terrific. Again, terrific acting all around. Next, I want to get to everything that happened at Winterfell. So Sansa's talking to Littlefinger about her suspicions about Arya. Littlefinger's trying to work all his, magic on her, get in her head. So Sansa's like, have Arya brought to the hall. And she says, okay, you stand accused of murder, you stand accused of treason. How do you answer these charges? Lord Baelish. She looks right at him. And he's like, what? I didn't do anything. He tries to get out of it, tries to plead his case. He's like, I'm the only one who was there. No one knows what really happened. Well, Bran is also there, and he, of course, can see what happened, and he explains how he saw Littlefinger take the cat's paw dagger to Ned's throat. So Littlefinger starts to weep. We've never seen him like this. It's amazing, great acting. And Sansa finally says, thank you for all your many lessons, Lord Baelish. I will never forget them. And Arya comes up, slices his throat, killing him. And Littlefinger was a power player, to be sure. He made a lot of things happen that we saw on the show, but I think this was an appropriate way for him to go out. Great acting by the actor, so to say goodbye, Littlefinger. You were a power player, no question about that. So later in the episode, we see Sansa and Arya have a scene where Sansa's like, in his own twisted way, I do believe he loved me. And Arya's like, you did the right thing, and they talk about, how they both miss Ned, which was a very nice thing they heard them both say. But what also happens at Winterfell next is Bran sitting by a fire. Who comes in? It's Samwell Tarly. And they're both talking, and, Bran's like, I have something I need to tell Jon. His name is really Jon Sand. Samwell's like, no. Rhaegar Targaryen's first marriage was annulled. Jon isn't a bastard. And he says to Bran, like, what? Is there anything you can do to actually see what really happened? So Bran goes into a warg, and he sees Rhaegar Targaryen marrying his aunt Lyanna Stark, and he sees that they loved each other, and he gives this great line where he says, Robert's rebellion was built on a lie. Rhaegar didn't kidnap my aunt or rape her. He loved her, and she loved him. And then he says another great line, he's never been a bastard. He's the heir to the Iron Throne. And we need to tell him the truth. So that was very, very chilling and awesome stuff. And while that's going on, we see Jon knocking on Daenerys' door, enters her chambers, and they start having sex. Now, it grosses some people out, of course, because they are aunt and nephew, but they don't know that they're aunt and nephew. So they start going at it, but who's watching the door from behind? It's Tyrion, looking very ominous, and nobody really knows why. If he's just upset that they're getting together, he thinks that will cause problems, or if he made some sort of deal with Cersei Lannister, the part we didn't see of their conversation. So definitely something to think about for next season. But finally, the episode ends. We're back at Eastwatch. Tormund and Beric are on the wall, and they see so many undead coming. And who's with them? It's the Night's King on undead Viserion. Viserion starts with his Frostfire, taking down the wall, bringing it down. It was an amazing spectacle, and the wall does, in fact, come down. I think Beric and Tormund are okay because we didn't really see them die, but the wall is down, the undead come through, and that is how the episode ends. Amazing stuff. I thought the finale was great. I think the season overall was fantastic. It lived up to my expectations. They made us wait a while for it, but it lived up to my expectations. I do think we're going to have a very long wait for season 8. I personally predict April 2019, but we'll see. But I definitely think it will be 2019. But I want to give some special shout-outs. Number 1, of course, to Dave Alvin, who inspired me to start doing these reviews. Love you, buddy. Number 2, one of the co-hosts of OddsSafe channel, Kimber Barrett, who came up with the name of my show. Mine is The Fury, due to my love of Stannis Baratheon, forever the one true king. And another big shout out to her now fiance, Tom Bennis, the other host of OddsSafe channel, who did every single amazing thumbnail that you have seen done by him. His Twitter will be in the description below. If you need a thumbnail, don't be afraid to hit him up for one. He's great, and he's also a very nice guy. And finally, to anyone that watched any of these reviews, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you. It means a lot to me. So until we meet again for Season 8, always remember, mine will always be The Fury. Bye.